think one piece of paperwork that is trips people up a little bit as buyers. It's a totally necessary piece of paperwork because as an agent, I have to have a signed buyer representation agreement. Because if I don't have that, I don't work for you. And if I don't work for you, I can't submit an offer on your behalf. So that is the way in which you would hire me is the buyer representation agreement. Now, I have certain thoughts and feelings about the buyer representation agreement that may go contrary to what other agents think, and I'm not going to go into those here. But where it does trip people up is there is a commission amount that is required to be filled in on the buyer representation agreement. And most listings you're going to see out there, the seller is offering 2.5% of the purchase price to the buyer's brokerage. So as any agent, when we're filling out a buyer representation agreement, we're filling it out at 2.5%. Now, if you read that paragraph, buyers, it's going to tell you that you, as a buyer, are obligated to compensate your agent's brokerage, the buyer brokerage, 2.5% of the purchase price. Now, that's where most people stop and their heart stops. They get dry in the mouth and then they call me, right? But if you further read the paragraph, it goes on to say that essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, essentially that 2.5% is neutralized by the money that has been offered up, the commission that's been offered up by the seller to the buyer brokerage. So essentially that amount is neutralized. Now, so as a buyer, to recap, in that case, you would not owe your brokerage, your agent, any commission for doing that deal for you. Now, where it can trip you up is there are some houses out there that aren't 2.5% commission. The seller is offering to the buyer brokerage 2% commission, 2.25% commission. In that case, if your buyer representation agreement states 2.5, then there would be a shortfall. And on closing, yes, you could be obligated to make up that shortfall. I know some agents will go after that. For me, I would personally adjust it to the house within reason, right? I would adjust it to the house. But you'll have to have that conversation with your people up front with your buyers up front to say, hey, here's the deal on this house. They're only offering 1.5% commission. We're signed at 2.5, right? So there's a bit of a shortfall there. But I've never actually personally gone after a buyer for that because it's usually only 0.25 or 0.5%. And at the end of the day, let's just get the deal done. So that would be one thing that I would caution you, buyers, is when you're out there looking and reading these buyer representation agreements, you want to make sure that when you're putting in your offer, that you're looking at what the commission is being offered because it's stated right in the offer on the confirmation of cooperation form. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that stuff. If you have any questions on BRAs, confirmation of cooperation forms, please feel free to shoot me a DM.